Good morning, good morning, good morning. Good morning, good morning, good morning. How you doing this morning? How you doing this morning? What's going on with you this morning? What is going on with you this morning? I know you are excited. You had an amazing weekend. I had an amazing weekend. Um, I I'm just ecstatic about this week because last week we talked about a little bit about just being intentional about us. We talked about, the community itself. And again, thank you for being a part of Trust the Process community. It's a group of individuals, it's a family, it is a network of individuals who have learned to trust the process. And in that process, we found the fact of who we are and what we wanted to do. We found our purpose. And as we continue to elevate and continue to figure out how to drive the purpose, how to direct the purpose, because we're all at different levels. As we grow the community, we get more information inside because we are people of real people who've tackled some real problems, who have come up with some real solutions to give the real people. And so we're excited about that because it is that part that makes us who we are. It is that because we are real people. We are transparent, and there's different levels of transparency during the process for individuals. And so here at Trust the Process, thank you for sharing, subscribe. And I ask if there's anybody that can help, this can help, please share it with them. If you like, no matter what time you're watching this or what part of the country you're watching this is, or what country you're watching this in, we appreciate you and thank you so much for being a part of this particular community here. I am the owner and host, Mr. Trust the Process. And as we continue to bring on guests to help elevate, yourself, it also helps to elevate us and who we are. But so let's get back to, last week, right? We're only going to be on here maybe 5 to 15 minutes, depending on what we led to talk about and how we're moving and how we're shaking. But we talked about, I know I started the transparency peace talk last week, and we were talking about, it's you versus you, right? Like we were talking about how you needed to be more intentional, like we needed to be more intentional on when things are happening. Like we don't want to keep focusing on what's happening to us, and we want to start asking the question of why it's happening to us. And then that's the answers that we want. We want to start dealing with our response to it. We want to start dealing with how we focus to it, how we manage the problem, how not letting it control the environment. And so I had remember we talked about, let me show a couple of these because we had a real transparent moment with you, right? And so remember when I talked about, my AmeriCorps days, right? And I was in AmeriCorps, and that's, where I started at my volunteering service. Well, not necessarily always the volunteer service, but that is where, I transferred from, Detroit and made my way to Pontiac, working in the Pontiac schools, right? And so then we went but we also started when we started talking about this young man right here. So we talked about me having a track and how I was so innocent, and I just thought the world was just going to be, just so open to me, and I was just smiling. I was so happy, and and then over time I learned the world ain't so nice, and the people in it ain't so nice, right? And so there was a level of I would just say, a level that I reached where I got to a point where I started internalizing everything. And, I went through the common, themes of just starting to become a very angry and dysfunctional young man, and out of control, and not out of control, but in control, learning how to operate in chaos, learning how to operate in environments that necessarily a 6-year-old shouldn't learn how to operate in. That smile quickly became, without correction, without folks noticing it, without folks, asking how I'm doing, no communities for me to really, no mental communities and spaces for me to go in. I quickly turned into this young man right here in high school, functioning. My grandmother, raised me. My grandmother was my pride and my joy, my everything, right? But she didn't even really knew how to really talk to me, but to love me. And so, yes, in this picture, I described how high I was high, trying to, drown out my problems, things of that nature. And no, and that's why this is a safe space. And, people hear that all the time, because ain't no judging, bro. And if I start with me, then you ain't got to worry about, sharing with you. You know what I'm saying? I was high. Clearly, you could see, like, that's no doubt in my mind. That was no, so, but that person, once I, learned how to deal with who he was, and what I was doing, and how I was doing it, and why I was doing it, I quickly began to accept me for me. I quickly began to say, okay, listen, there's some things that I need to accept about me.